What does internal mean? Well, it means self-change. And that's it. Internal martial arts. Some kind of art that can be used for fighting that has to do with your ability to change who you are.
Internal transformation.
And what does that mean, internal transformation? It means a lot of stuff. And you start to get into the weird words like chi, the big mystical chi. Chi is a word that represents a cooking pot of rice over a fire. And that pot, the lid, is lifted on the pot by the steam coming off of the cooking rice. So it's intangible force, right? There's energy there. The heat does something that makes the water bubble that somehow picks up the lid. So you gotta remember when these characters were written, right? It's a long time ago. So what does that mean? Well, it means all of that stuff in relationship can create food. And it can create steam. And it can create a feeling of love in a family. It creates relationships. It's a relationship that has infinite cause and effect on other relationships. That's what chi is. So when they say chi is energy, they're right. But they're wrong. Because it's too narrow a definition. If I just say, use your chi, you're going to look at me the same way I looked at my first teacher who said that and be like, yeah, I'm doing that? The hell are you talking about? But if it's, okay, chi is about relationships. What does internal martial arts build? Chi. Oh. So it's about transforming relationships within myself. That's different now. That's not mystical mumbo jumbo anymore. An internal master can punch very, very hard with his chi. Well, yeah, because he knows how to create a cascade of muscular contraction in a chain of events throughout his body that consistently accelerates. In a way, very few people can. Mike Tyson has great chi for punching. He'd kill a guy with a punch, I bet. Would a normal kung fu guy say he's got very powerful chi? No, but they probably don't know what the hell it means. If it means relationship, dude's got them.
So it would also be understanding the relationship between how your mind, your emotions, and your body are working in the particular present moment as opposed to a year from now or 2 years from now. It's all about present space as
Yep.
opposed to forward space.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. And the training is always about the forward space,
Yes.
too. Because it's like, if I continually work on the mistakes in the relationships now, I'll have less of them tomorrow.
Exactly.
Right? And it starts off in martial arts with like fighty things, how to move your body. That's why they say from the inside out. You move from the inside out. What the hell does that mean? Well, it means that when people punch with their arms, they're actually punching like this. They're not punching with their legs. Their legs don't drive into the ground and their waists don't turn and it doesn't accelerate to their arms. That's it. Their weight doesn't transfer from one leg to another properly. These kinds of things, right? That's where it starts. But as soon as you can start doing that, it has to transform other things too. And you have to start looking for other problems, other relationships. Because that's just the physical ones. Like my master told me, doesn't it matter more when to punch or why to punch than how to?
Yes.
Like, it really matters. That really matters. If you need to punch somebody, what the hell's wrong with you? How did you get there? What ridiculous series of events has taken place that has put you to no other thing other than punch this guy's head off? Come on. Like, almost nothing should be able to do that to you. You can't talk your way out of a wet paper bag, is what that means. If you get ambushed in an alley, smash him, if that's all that's left.
Yes, but at that point in
But
time, it's in
everything's
the
gone wrong.
current present, and it's a split second in time.
Right.
not 3 hours training a specific, I move my hand this way or I move my leg this way.
Yeah.
When it comes down to real life application,
Yeah, it happens
in the
now.
moment, it happens in the moment, it's seconds and it's over.
It should be.
You are either standing or not.
And the relationships that you had trained are going to be the reason you're the one standing or not. And this is where I mean it carries into other relationships. Why are you in a fight? What relationships do you need to examine that put you in a fight? Like, did somebody look at your girlfriend and you started lipping them off? Well, you need to look at your ego.
Well, what happens if you're living
Right.
in a really bad part of a city
Okay, yeah.
and you know that you can't go outside after a certain time without possible bodily threat?
Yeah, so you don't.
But shouldn't you then stop part of the internal being instead of just not doing something?
Make a
Should
change.
would it not then make more sense to sit down, and part of that internalizing is to say, well, I don't have to live here.
Exactly.
I can take myself out of said situation, so it is no longer a fear factor in my life.
And now that's strong G. Because that's somebody looking at the relationships in their life and actively affecting them. Wow, where I live is the shit and it's dangerous. I'm going to do my best to get out of here. Because I don't want to ever get into this Marshall situation. or
Instead of
whatever.
escalating and going out and buying a gun and going out at midnight every night,
To see
because
what
in a
happens.
sense you're then looking for it, even though if you're not consciously seeking it out, you've chosen actions that would put you into that position.
You're consciously seeking it out. But yeah, I would argue. Yeah, it's exactly it. What is it that is putting you in that situation? Okay, you could even take it further. If you're this person who lives in a tough place and I don't care if it's dangerous, I'm going to Sev. I'm going to the 7-Eleven. Okay, well, why are you not caring it's dangerous? What's out of control here? Is it your ego and you think you're invincible? Is it ego and you think it can't happen to you? Like, what's going on? What are the relationships in your mind? That is the problem. Is it because, there's 100 reasons that you could avoid trouble, but you keep choosing the one that puts you in trouble. When I was fighting in tournaments and stuff, like, I really had to consider why. Yeah, I mean, because I was training with a guy talking to me like this. And I told him when I wanted to fight in a tournament that I was scared. I'd never gone full on with anybody, right? With no, like, I didn't know them or something, right? Not sparring. And I wanted to see. I just wanted to see. And he's like, it's a fine reason. It's a fine reason. Because you're going into a place where it's completely safe. There's paramedics there. There's a referee there. There's actually 4 or 5 referees there. You know what I mean? It's not a real fight. And that pulled a lot of fear off me. Right? And then I could learn something from that experience. And I did. Second tournament I went in, actually, I was like, yeah, I'm going to go into the tournament. He's like, why? And I realized I just got caught. Because I can't say I'm afraid, because I did that last time. Am I still afraid? Well, I'm kind of not still afraid. What am I going to do, right? And I didn't have much of an answer. So he said, okay. And he let me have one theory from our style. He said, that's all you're allowed to do. If I catch you doing any of the other principles from our style, you'll get punished back in class. And everybody else who came with us, there was 4 or 5 of us, whatever, he did that to all of us. Okay, you're only allowed to go in there and do intercepted motion. Anything else, you're in trouble. You're only allowed to go in there and do kicks. I think he gave that to Dominic, actually, because Dom hated kicking. Stuff like that. Like, go in there and put yourself under so many restrictions, you'll probably lose. And see if you lose or not. See if you can outthink these guys.
Okay, now let's put it
See?
into that would be a tournament situation.
Yeah, and
now
that's
let's talk about
relationship.
pickpocket in Rome. How long did that take to happen? And was there that same preconceived thought and everything else in an actual real life pickpocket situation? It took what, 2 seconds? Buddy's wrist was done and he decided that was a bad idea.
Okay. So I'm walking through Rome. taught a workshop there, and get down into the fashion district near the Spanish Steps there. Lots of pickpockets. And I had my old bag, which was a black monk's bag, so it doesn't have a zipper, which was a problem. Anyway, so I'm a fairly big guy, walking around, having a good time. This guy walks up to me. He's about my size, and puts his hand out to shake my hand. Canadian, right? So I'm like, "Oh, hey, how's it going?" And I grab his hand, and he leans in to my ear to say, "Hey, I got something for you," because this is like the thing, black market everywhere, right? And "I got a deal for you," he says. And I kind of looked down. His other hand was already in my bag. He had untied it with his, because it was like left hand, I guess, right? So his left hand had already untied my bag and was inside it fishing around. And it was like, "I got something for you." Like, that's it. It was, he was in there already.
Yep.
So did I have any real, no.
No.
I had his hand. And there's a handshake defense, right? I love calling it that because it's such a silly phrase. I'm defending against a handshake. But as soon as I saw that, I mean, I needed to get him away from me. Because I don't want him to steal my shit. My money's in there. So I broke his wrist. I didn't mean to break his wrist. Truly. I just simply did the movement that I knew would shoot him away from me with pain. Because if you get this on, you take off. It hurts, right? I mean, when it broke, it was, I think, mainly because it was the real thing, and I wasn't caring if I broke it. He was ripping me off.
Well, there was no ref. There
was
was,
like, "Whoa,
no
bang, leave me
paramedics. There's
alone."
nothing else around to create that safe space in a real life
There
situation.
wasn't safe space, no. And I mean, he jumped away and stuff and held his wrist and ran away. And I felt bad. I knew it was broken because I felt it pop in my hand. I didn't mean to break his wrist. Truly. It just did. But I did learn a lot from it. I learned a lot from it. I learned that, I was still calm. I wasn't angry. I was actually quite upset that I hurt him as bad as I did.
Or afraid.
Yeah, and I wasn't really afraid anymore either. And it was one of the only times in like real world that I've done something to somebody. So it did give me an experience of what it's like to break something. You know what I mean? What it's like to survey the crowd that way and things. Yeah.
And how did you feel walking around Rome after that experience? Did you find that how you were thinking changed?
Yeah.
And in what way?
I'll be honest, yeah. I got more scared. Not less.
And what were you afraid of?
Hurting someone. It's the truth. I hurt that guy and I didn't mean to. In the perfect world, I would have done a wrist lock. And he would have squawked and I would have let him go and he would have learned his lesson. Tisk, tisk, tisk. But, yeah. His hand was hanging off of his fucking arm. And I felt shitty about that. And that's what bothered me. It was like, okay, Neil went from too scared to fight and had to be like had to get into a tournament to try it, to this other person in Rome that actually got to do the thing the 20-year-old always wanted to.
And then
just
you found
regretted
yourself that it wasn't a big, woo, I did it. It was the exact
hated it.
opposite.
I hated it. I put a guy in a wrist lock in Nepal. It was the same thing. I just felt better about it there because I didn't break his arm when he grabbed me. That was scary, though. That was a scary one. He had a needle in his other hand.
Oh, boy.
But he just dropped like a stone. So, and he didn't get broken or anything. And I still was like, I didn't feel good about it. I really didn't. I felt like I was, I don't know, justified, I guess? I didn't want to get stuck with that needle.
No.
But I also didn't want him to have a blasted arm either.
No.
But I think that's all a part of that internal stuff. That's what internal means.
And so you
20-year-old me wanted to kill a guy. 40-year-old me doesn't want to hurt anybody. Right? But I've had to go through an awful lot to figure that out. And that it is self-transformation.
And that's ultimately what they're talking about when they're referring to how the internal arts are just as important as the external. because the internal is ultimately what influences the external movement and reaction or action.
Yeah, yeah, because your mind moves first. There's all these things about Dantian moves first. Your hips move first. The core moves first. No, your mind moves first. And if you are not in control of that, good luck.
But
Don't
you
ever
know-
meet my Shaolin master.
What about emotion?
Uh,
Would emotion not precede thought?
Okay, so now it gets all Buddhist. Emotion comes at you like it's like a like some event takes place, say, right? You witness this event and it's like coming. The witnessing comes at you, and you instantly start to judge that event. That makes me angry, for instance. What meditation training does, stillness training, is it takes your mind about a half a second longer to react than it used to. It used to be instant. You do the thing, my mind says I'm angry, I punch your face. After a little bit of time chilling out, you do the thing, the emotion comes. My mind goes, am I angry? And that's the difference. Am I angry?
Instead of
Instead of you've made
the
me
assumption.
angry. You, no one can make anyone angry. We choose it. It's just that when we're out of control, which is most of us all of the time, and we're on autopilot, we think that we can't choose, but we can. But it takes a lot of practice. A lot of practice. You want to know where I learned that one? Getting beat up. Nothing made me angrier than getting beat in sparring when I was a kid. Nothing. I was the highest ranked guy in my club. 14, 15, 16 years old, whatever. And you know what would happen? Some orange belt would kick the crap out of me. And you know why? I remember the one for sure. Because he was 35. He was a dad. I was a child. Didn't matter if I was a black belt and he'd slap me around like a boy. Right? And it made me so angry. Now I look at that and I go, there's a lot of dumb assumptions going on there. You know, you need to look at that and chill out. So, where does emotion fall into martial combat? It shouldn't. You attack somebody. Somebody attacks me, right? Emotion should not be fuel for fire. This gets into kind of a weird spot I'm almost not even comfortable talking about, but that's okay. My Shaolin teacher, he described martial arts as cold. Okay, and I do not agree with him, but I'm going to lay out what he thought. He saw martial arts as cold as in a hunter pulling the trigger on its gun, shooting the deer. It's cold, calculated, sat there and sniped it. Boom, dinner. That's how he saw like sparring and beating people. Just the next thing, right? But the way he did it was cruel. He meant cruel, not cold. He liked to see people in pain. That's what his cold was. Okay? And then I met another guy who fueled everything, he's a tiger guy, fueled everything by fire, by anger, emotional anger. You want to fight? Okay. And the next thing you know, and you've all seen that guy, slapping himself in the face and he's going to go get you because he's trying to pull his adrenaline up, right?
Yeah.
Making himself stupid as well. Because you ever notice how like we're real smart when we're angry? Make lots of good decisions. So, well, what's my point of view? Is there's a very big difference. It all has to do with verbiage, actually. The word I use is intention. My intent can be very, very high, with my emotion very, very low. Meaning I'm not emotionally involved when I spar anymore. If I'm like really sparring somebody, meaning like it's not a student and I'm not teaching, right? If I was really sparring somebody and somebody punches me in the face, my ego will get the flare. Ah, shit, you got hit in the head. And my emotions can't do anything from there. I have to go, yeah, but if you get angry about that, you're going to lose. And you do that for a number of years, you just get punched in the face. It's a big deal.
Well, anger inhibits your brain's ability to think on the fly.
Which is why there's one of the strategies of martial arts is to make your opponent as angry as you can.
So they stop thinking.
Because they get stupid. So stupid. Works really well. So I don't think anybody should be using emotion, personally, to fuel fighting. They should be using intention. And intention means I am going to do this. A surgeon does horrible things to people's bodies with all the love in the world. That's intention, not emotional anything.
Yeah.
They don't know who you are. You have a mask on your face even. They don't care who you are. They're going to cut you open and they're going to do what needs to be done.
That's intention.
That sure sounds like martial arts to me.
Unemotional.
If someone attacks you and you need to tear their neck off, I guess that's what needs to be done. You didn't need to get all excited about it. And then afterwards, you should call the police and the 911 and you should give yourself up and do what's right. But, you know, guy punches you in the face and you lose your mind and you kill 15 people. Good karma? No, I don't think so.
No.
Right?
Well, not even that. Then that just shows a lack of mental discipline,
And a lot of martial artists are right there.
which is the second thing, if not the first thing,
You got
with the martial art is mastering the mind,
supposed to be.
not just the body.
Problem is though that you have to master the mind through the body usually, in the martial method, right? Rather than going like Buddhists and going to the mind first. And people have a really hard time with that. And they don't go far enough. They start mastering the body, and as you master your body, you get a whole bunch of tests of ego because you start to get tough. And how you deal with getting tough matters. I can't remember who it was. I don't follow MMA, but I think it was Conor McGregor. As I recall, when he started out, he was like just a dude from like Ireland or something. From a boxing gym maybe, or whatever. I don't really know. But I was like, wow, underdog kind of guy. You know, didn't have a lot of money, didn't have a lot of people behind him, and he didn't seem like he had a lot of ego. He's the champion now. He's the biggest douche I've ever seen. He's just an ass now. And he was a cool guy.
So he let the ego get in the way.
Yeah. I would say that his level of martial ability has gone down, not up, because his mind is not what it was.
Because his mind has moved to a different space.
And somebody who will come along with a better mind will eat him and mail him home, and it'll just keep going until somebody else's ego gets out of control and they get their ass kicked. That's the thing, right? Why are there all the Yoda stories? Why are there all the old master stories? Because that's supposed to be the example. That's what it is. I've had lots of people ask me questions too about like, it's usually worded something like, is the old master a real thing? Like, can an old kung fu master really fight? You know, Pai Mei, Kill Bill, or whatever. They don't realize that those things are archetypes. It doesn't even matter. It matters that those old masters that could really fight, they never hurt anybody. You ever notice that in the movies? Don't hurt anybody.
They disarm them.
They slap them, they laugh at them, they make fun of them.
They muck them around a little bit.
You give them a little mucking, give them a lesson or two.
But it's because they see beyond the young man's ambition. They see through old eyes,
Yeah.
which is wisdom.
And that is what it's supposed to be about, is building that. Does it matter if a 70-year-old kung fu master can beat a 30-year-old MMA guy? No. Does it matter who's happiest?
Yes.